Hey, I'm back for another short video just telling some of the story and the lessons that I learned in the process of buying this Promaster camper van for our own family's part-time adventures. I haven't seen a lot of videos talking about the process of finding and buying a camper van, and so I wanted to make a video because I feel like this is something that would be really good for people to see or hear, is just advice from someone who just bought one, who isn't going to be converting their own camper van. So this video is not for folks who would like to convert your own camper van, but folks who are looking to buy one that is already built out, somewhat built out. So it was about 9 months ago that my husband and I started looking for our dream camper van adventure vehicle, and we thought it would be a pretty quick and easy process. We found this great website called vanlifetrader.com, and I'll link that below for you, and I think that that's a really helpful website. However, we started looking at vans from all over the country, and we got really excited about a couple that were in Arizona and we are in Oregon. And so we were looking at maybe flying out and purchasing a van from another state sight unseen. And I'm really glad that we didn't do that, because we started looking around at local vans and started to see that pictures can be deceiving on vanlifetrader.com. And you really want to see the van that you're going to purchase before you travel to see it and maybe drive it home. So that's my first bit of advice, is to make sure and look locally or somewhat locally for your van. Keep your radius smaller and maybe not 3 or 4 states away. We ended up purchasing this van here in Washington State, so we did travel a little bit to see it, but we had a really good video tour first, and we were pretty confident asking the right questions and asking for close-ups of certain areas that we were concerned about to get the pictures that we needed and not just see the pictures that were shown on the website. So that's my number one tip, is when you get on there, make sure and look for vans that are in your local area for the most part. The other big tip that I would say starting out is know that it's going to take more than just a couple of months to set up financing unless you have cash ready to pay on hand. So we were going to finance our van, and we figured that we could get an RV loan, since a camper van is a recreational vehicle technically. But because these vans are being custom made by individuals, folks who maybe are not licensed as contractors, and they are definitely not comparable to each other the way that normal RVs and other vehicles are, some banks are not going to give you an RV loan for this kind of vehicle. They're going to want to give you a car loan. In fact, almost every bank is going to want to give you a car loan until you really press the matter. And we went back and forth with different individuals at our credit union, which we knew had financed camper vans before, just like this. And even with them, we had some trouble negotiating what kind of loan we were going to be able to get. And there's a huge difference finance-wise between the terms of a car loan and the terms of an RV loan, it turns out. So for the majority of our search for our van, and up until the last, I'd say about the last month of the process, we were assuming that we were going to either have a car loan for 6 years, a term of 6 years paying off the loan, as opposed to 15 or 20 years maximum for an RV loan. Or we were going to have someone custom build an actual toilet that has plumbing going out of the van or into a gray water or black water tank. So we were either going to get a van and have the person who is selling it to us rework it so that it could have a working toilet that's plumbed, not just a removable toilet that has no connection to the van itself. Because that is the requirement for an RV loan by many bank standards, is that you would have a plumbed sink and a plumbed toilet. That was our bank standard, at least the first few times that we talked to them. And we found a local builder of vans, and he's actually just a few miles from us, coincidentally. We found him on vanlifetrader.com actually, and turned out he had just moved a few miles away from us, and we were really planning on hiring him to make a custom van brand new, made just for us, and we were planning on hiring him to build out that plumbed toilet. We were in negotiations with him, and he discovered that he was not going to be able to make our timeline. And so we revisited the bank and asked them once again, does this toilet really have to have plumbing? Does it have to be draining out of the van into a gray water or black water? Or can it just be a toilet that is disposable, that you can take out and remove the waste yourself? And the answer we got was different this time. We got the answer that, oh no, if you have a regular Dometic toilet or a composting toilet, yes, we can consider that an RV. So we did get a 15-year term, which means that our monthly payment went from being $1,200 a month to being $500 a month, or a little less than $500 a month, which is so much more affordable for anyone, no matter what your income bracket is. So I really recommend looking into financing, getting it in writing, getting your terms settled with the bank before you even start looking at any kind of van, whether it's used or a custom build or something brand new that's being built by a company. We ended up getting this van that was built by a company, a professional van building company, but we were the second owners of it after the build out. So we were not the first owners buying it from the conversion company themselves, but the second owners. And so we are actually going to go and meet the people who built it out and learn more about it on our first road trip next week. But we don't know everything because we didn't get it custom made for us. We don't know, we haven't had video of the van build or anything like that. It was really exciting to think about what we wanted in a custom build and what we could live without. And this is my third tip, is know what your compromises are. So I would say it's really important to know what your really important elements are and what the things are that you can live without. The things that I had on my list were, a lot of people want their bed to be as long as possible, and it's possible in a Promaster to make them 6 feet long if you carve out the sides of the van and don't do extra insulation. But we thought we're both 5'6", and so we could live without that if that's extra cost and extra work for the builder. We actually didn't want our bed to be quite as high as most Promaster beds are. We thought it would actually be better for us to be able to sit up while we were sitting up in bed and not hit our head on the roof than to be able to store a mountain bike beneath our bed. Originally we thought we didn't want the expensive Dometic fridge, but now I've learned a few more things about fridges, and I think that probably we would have gone with an expensive Dometic fridge that is more compatible with solar panels. We thought we could live without the cassette toilet, and that's still true. Even though our van here came with a cassette toilet and we do have one now, I'm not sure that I'll ever use it. Probably I'm going to be using my own composting toilet. And we could live without a tile backsplash. The builder we were working with normally does a custom tile, real tile backsplash, and we thought we could live without that. Some of our really big important things that we did want was hot water in the sink as well as the back shower. We wanted seatbelts on the back bench, which we didn't end up getting because we got this van instead, and this van didn't have those. It's really hard to find a van with seatbelts, but if you have kids or grandkids, you kind of want to look into that and make sure that it's possible to build in seatbelts for any back seating. And then we had dreams of things that we really wished he could do for us, and we didn't know for sure if he'd be willing to, but we thought we'd ask. And so a certain bed design was really curious to us. We thought maybe we could do that. We really like Eamon and Bec's bed design that kind of flips up to make the bed wider, and the bed flips down to make the back of a couch. It's a really clever design. I still think it's the best I've seen for beds, just in terms of making the bed smaller during the day, but really easy to convert into a bed at night. We wanted a pocket window over the sink to have a view outside while we were doing dishes. And then we really wanted to have a gray water release valve for both automatic just emptying under the van and for regular disposal at a hose disposal at a campground. So those were our essential necessities and deal breakers. And I would just encourage you to watch as many van tour videos as you can and come up with your deal breakers and no compromise lists. I think it makes it so much easier to know what you're getting into and know what you really want. And if you're a couple like we are, we had different things that we wanted, so we had to compromise and come together with our lists. And it was good to know while we were shopping, especially shopping in person and traveling a couple hours maybe to see a van, what we were looking for. We also wanted it to be in good shape and well cared for. So the first couple of vans we looked at were not well cared for, and that was definitely a deal breaker for us. So those are my 3 tips. Make sure and start with your financing, research your financing, go to as many banks and credit unions as you can until you can find an RV loan if that's what you need. Otherwise, you may not be able to afford the monthly payment if you're financing. If you're paying cash, then it's no big deal either way. But the other thing is to look locally and make sure that you can see something before you put the money down, or travel a long ways by plane or train to see it and check it out. Because it can be frustrating to take a trip like that and then end up not wanting the van after all. And then just have a really good list of things that you're willing to compromise on and things that you're not willing to compromise on. And I think, again, the best way to do that is just to look at a lot of van build tours. There's some really good ones out there. There's hundreds of them, and they just seem never ending. Our favorite ones in terms of just the creativity were Tio Aventura on YouTube and Eamon and Bec for sure. Their most recent build, they've done 2 or 3 vans I think over time, but their most recent design was really clever. And they're not living in their van anymore, but they definitely have those videos up still, and you can check them out. If you're doing a custom build, I would definitely look at theirs. It's really interesting. So that's my little video on pre-buying tips. If you're going to look for an adventure van, whether it's just for the weekend or for full-time living, if you're looking at a Promaster or a Sprinter conversion, if you're getting a used one or one that's being custom made, those are some things you really want to think of in advance and be prepared with that list of things. And be prepared because you could lose the van of your dreams if you're not ready with financing. If you don't have your loan all set up and ready to go, then it could go really fast. And ours cost $80,000. A brand new custom made one was going to cost us $90,000. But nowadays you can't get very much for more than $60,000 or $70,000. I mean, you can't get a very good quality van, even used. So you really need to figure out that financing if you don't have that much cash on hand. So I encourage you to do your homework. Start looking at vanlifetrader.com for ideas, and start looking at YouTube for videos, for tours, for ideas as well. And have fun in the process. Let me know how it goes. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.